next movie is Toy Story 3. This is the most recent film on the list. It came out back in 2010 and was actually a sequel removed from the original back in 1995. Now, this movie was great. It was awesome, and it deserved to be one of the nominees for Best Picture in 2011. It drew a lot of emotions. You got to connect with the characters. There's a lot of memorable characters. There's a lot of new characters, and it also connected with you on a personal level, depending on how you felt when you're growing up, especially when it came to your toys. This movie at the end also made you feel happy and content with how everything ended, and it's probably one of the best animated endings of all time, in my opinion. So Disney, kudos to you for making a great sequel, unlike your many failures of sequels that went straight to video. Now, how can we have a list of some of the greatest sequels that were better than the originals and not include an Indiana Jones sequel? Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about the Temple of Doom, and I'm definitely not going to talk about the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Oh, jeez. Really, refrigerator? Anyway, I am going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which came out 1989, which was about 8 years after Raiders of the Lost Ark came out. Now, although I enjoyed myself with the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade had everything. You got to see Indiana Jones back where he was, just like in the original, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, trying to get historic artifacts and having to deal with the Nazis and everything. And one of the key additions that made this even more fun for me was the addition of Sean Connery playing Indiana Jones' dad. It played for a great comedic relief. They both Harrison Ford and Sean Connery played off very well with each other. I mean, heck, that was James. You're putting one of the original James Bonds together with Han Solo. That was, classic. Both have gone on to have great careers, and in The Last Crusade, it was kind of fantastical. And one of my favorite scenes, I gotta say, though, has to be when Adolf Hitler thinks that Indiana Jones is a soldier that's also asking for his autograph and signs off on it. Oh, that, and also the beach scene involving Sean Connery, a Nazi fighter jet, and seagulls. I'll let you take a look.
I suddenly remembered my Charlemagne. Let my armies be the rocks and the trees and the birds in the sky.
Now, I'm going to admit, for many years, and still am, I'm a fan of the Predator movies more than the Alien movies. However, on this list, on number 4, the movie I have here came out in 1986, and it's the movie Aliens. Now, this was a sequel to the 1979 movie Alien. This takes place about 50 years after the original movie, and in my opinion, it steps it up a notch. And what really makes it even more entertaining for me, and what made it great, is I think it was scarier than the original one. And the fact that you also got to see a character from the earlier movie, Ellen Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, come to actually finally face her fears, and especially overcome them, especially when she goes back to help these soldiers investigate what's going on this colony planet that they have. Giving you a spoiler alert right now, my favorite scene has to be the showdown between her and the alien queen. I mean, that was just epic. Kind of reminded me of Exo Squad or something. So it was an improved movie over the original, in my opinion, and is a great movie for you to watch, whether you are a general sci-fi fan, a horror fan, or even a fan of the Alien series. Now we reach number 3, and just like we had earlier, we have 2 movies tied for number 3, and that is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, which came out in 1980 and 1983 respectively. Now, the reason why I lumped these 2 movies together, just like I did with the prequel sequels, is the fact that the story arc for these 2 movies actually stretches throughout these 2 movies. You cannot finish the story, at least the story arc, of either one of these movies without the other. Now, I didn't see either one of these in theaters. As a matter of fact, Return of the Jedi came out the year I was born. However, I did see them on VHS. Then I saw the revised edition on VHS. Then I saw the DVD edition, and even in theaters when they re-released it for a short amount of time. Now, I liked Episode 4 because it was a unique original storyline, and since it's a futuristic type of movie like Star Trek, but it took place in a totally different galaxy, and the fact that it took place a long time ago, meaning we still might have been in the Dark Ages while this whole storyline was happening. It also created one of the biggest twists in movie history, with Darth Vader telling Luke, "I am your father." Spoiler alert, sorry. But throughout the Episode 4 and most of Episode 5, they kept saying how Luke's father was killed by Darth Vader, and that Luke wants to get revenge, and so and so. And then you've got the epic ending to the whole saga, or at least the trilogy, in Return of the Jedi, with the lightsaber battle between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, the battle on the Ewok planet where the rebel forces are trying to destroy the compound which created the shield for the Death Star, and the epic battle in space where the rebels attack the main waiting area of the Empire, which was set up as a trap, so they have all the battle cruisers and their whole airships and everything ready for the rebel forces, and also the half Death Star operational, of course, fully operational. All in all, though, it was a great ending to the story arc, great ending to the whole series. The only thing I didn't like was in the revised versions, they kept changing who shot first, Guido or Han Solo. They added Jar Jar Binks at the end of Return of the Jedi. Really? And the fact that they took out the image of the actor who played Darth Vader originally in these movies. They took out his ghost image and replaced it with Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin Skywalker in the original trilogies, just so they can have some continuity or whatnot. Those are my only gripes. Other than that, great sequels. If I were to ask you what is one movie that would define Arnold Schwarzenegger's career, I think a lot of people would say Terminator 2 Judgment Day, or even the original Terminator. Now, Terminator 2 Judgment Day is another James Cameron movie on my list. This movie came out in 1991, following its original back in 1984. Now, the original one I saw on VHS and on TV, and it was its special effects were innovative at the time, and the story was very unique. It had a very unique outlook on the future, kind of a dark outlook, and I love time travel movies. But great Scott, seriously, there's a huge paradox which I don't get. You've got a younger soldier sent by his older general to the past to protect his mother, ends up saving his mother and falling in love and becoming the biological dad of him. So you've got younger soldier. Confusing, right? Well, when they came out with Judgment Day, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, they didn't deal with too much of the crazy insanity, confusion, and everything. And they even improved on the special effects, because now you're moving into the early 90s with more innovative special effects. The story was even deeper, because you also got to see the relationship between John Connor and his mom. You got to see the relationship between the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and what his real relationship ends up becoming, kind of like a father figure to John Connor. You get to see Robert Patrick as one of the most deadliest, or one of the deadliest villains of all time in the T-1000 Terminator model. Great special effects. You got to take Arnold, who was the bad Terminator, the villain of the first movie, and bring him back as a good guy. Got to see him do a little more acting, and see the supposed conclusion to this whole story. Now, I had fun and enjoyed the third movie, but really we didn't need a third movie. And that movie was bad. Unlike this one. This one was awesome. If you get a chance to check it out, watch Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And actually, I think you should watch the first movie first, just to compare the two. And finally, number 1 on our list, to no one's surprise, is The Dark Knight. Now, this movie came out in 2008 and was the sequel to the original of this franchise, which was a reboot of the Batman series, Batman Begins, and that came out in 2005. Now, what was great about this story is the fact that you've got a great director in Christopher Nolan. And already Batman Begins, a lot of people didn't have good expectations on it, and after seeing it, felt it was one of the best Batman movies in the series. That is until The Dark Knight came along. Now, the most difficult thing in this whole movie was trying to cast the Joker to play opposite to Christian Bale's Batman. And a lot of people used to use Jack Nicholson as the measuring stick, so to speak, as to how good of a Joker you can be. And Heath Ledger surprised us all. Not only did he do a phenomenal job and even win an Academy Award for his performance in The Dark Knight, but he also played Joker in a different way. Now, Christopher Nolan was making these Batman movies a little more realistic, as if they could happen more seriously, more realistic, as opposed to the cartoonish original Batman series, or Batman series before in the 90s, and Heath Ledger's Joker fit in perfectly. There was a lot of great action, a lot of special effects. This was filmed again in Chicago, my hometown. The writing was brilliant. I mean, right now you can ask a lot of people. A lot of people would say this is the best in the whole, arguably the best in the whole history of Batman movies. And one can only hope that the third and potentially final installment of this Batman franchise will at least end on a high note, or at least help do justice to end this whole series, because I think it's going to be very hard to top The Dark Knight. So those are my top 12 sequels that, in my opinion, were better than the originals. If you want to let me know what you all think, you can feel free to leave some comments. Well, I'm the movie professor. I review it, so you... Okay, I get it. Jeez. See, okay. Why are you throwing Batman and Robin at me? The hell? Where the hell did you get a bad credit card?
And he says, "Why so serious?"